Hey guys, Dani here, and welcome to my little corner of the internet. I recently got this amazing opportunity given to me by Ontario Creates to go to the Canadian Music Week conference. And I wanted to share with you my experience there and everything that happened. So the main day that I went to this conference was the Saturday because the rest of the conference was mainly during the week and I had to work. So I got there first thing in the morning and I was an absolute nervous wreck. The way that my brain works is super weird and I get anxious and paranoid about absolutely everything that I do up until the moment that I do it. I am actually a really shy person. I don't really like going up to people and talking to them because I get super paranoid about oh, I'm bothering them, or I don't know if I'm annoying them, or I accidentally interrupted something because I'm very, very bad at social cues. I'm 110% fine with people coming up to me to talk to me. I love it, but I have a hard time going up to other people. So the prospect of having to do that all day, I was so nervous. So after I checked in and I got my whole booklet on everything that was happening for that day, I went and planned out all of the panels and workshops and stuff that I wanted to go to. And the first panel didn't start for another 20 to 30 minutes. So I decided to go to where all of the booths were and people were advertising different things and different companies and try and talk to some people there. And I liked the fact that I went really early in the morning because it was first thing, because there wasn't a lot of people and everyone there seemed to have a bunch of high energy, was more than willing to talk for long periods of time because there wasn't that many people. So I walked up to this first booth and I met this super nice lady who has this company which is essentially Airbnb for musicians. And she was a great person to talk to. She was super friendly, super nice, and actually gave me a lot of amazing suggestions and ideas for the company that I'm trying to start, and even an app component that I can add to it. And it was just a really great conversation. By the time I had finished talking to her, I was really I think I'm gonna like it here, and I get why people come to these things. So that really boosted up my energy and lowered my anxiety minusculely, but still slightly. And I went to the very first panel. So this first panel was about music sync in advertising. It was more of a history-based kind of discussion, which was very intriguing in terms of the history, but I didn't really think that it helped me in terms of where the future of advertising and television and all that stuff were going and how my music could fit into that. But I really do like learning the history of things and how certain events change the market. So it was a really good and educational talk for me personally. So after that first panel had finished, there was a bit of a gap between that panel and the next panel that I wanted to go to. So I decided to attend the Mentor Cafe. And so when I was going there to sign my name up on the list to be partnered with a mentor for a few minutes to chat, there was this guy that came up to me and told me that I asked some really good questions in that previous panel. And we quickly talked a little bit while I was signing up, but ironically, this was actually the mentor that I ended up being paired with. So it was really cool that he had already noticed me in that previous panel, and I think that made him way more willing to talk to me and give me advice and stuff like that. Now that conversation was super helpful, and that person actually runs a company that he recently started that does all of the artist development stuff that I actually currently need. So it was a really great match, and he was a really great contact to have made, and we're actually still talking now about doing stuff together. So I could really see why people came to these things, because these are people that I wouldn't meet otherwise. So after that conversation, I personally needed a little bit of a break. I was a little overwhelmed by the amount of people and the amount of things going on. So I went and I took the bus 2 stops up the road to one of my favorite shops and just kind of shopped around for a little bit. And then when I came back, I went to a few more panels that were also really helpful, really good, met a lot of great people. The only other thing of note that happened at the conference that day was that there was this meet the agent thing, which is honestly like one of the greatest opportunities. And I had gotten there 30 minutes before sign up was supposed to begin. And I ended up being number 39. Now, people that I talked to in this line, like there were people that were 75 plus. I was 39, or 38 actually. I was 38. And I don't know who was like running this meet the agent thing, but I don't understand why it was going so slowly. I didn't quite get like what the setup was. I was able to literally leave, go to another panel, go through that whole panel and come back, and I think they were still only at like 20 or something like that. So it was a really, really long time to wait. At a certain point, like they were getting closer and closer to when these meet the agent things were supposed to end. There was a group of me and these two other super nice people that I had been talking to. One of the ladies in charge came up to us, asked us what our numbers were, and we were kind of close in the queue, and she's like, I'm going to make sure that you guys get seen, but you guys are probably going to be the last people to be seen today. Mind you, again, I was 38, and there were people who were 75 plus. Now, as we were getting closer and closer to the I think it was like 5 o'clock when this was supposed to end, the people who were like 75 plus kind of figured out that they weren't being seen today. And that is when everything turned into an all-out like war chaos type thing. Like people were trying to jump the line, so like as soon as like the last person would leave, instead of the next person in line going, like someone else would basically just like push them out of the way and sit down, and these people had like whole decks of things prepared for these agents. Clearly I was highly unprepared, but it just turned into this whole thing. People were yelling at each other. People who had managers there with them were like yelling at the organizer people, being like, well, we sat here for 2 hours and we're gonna get seen, blah, blah, blah. It was a whole thing. So at the end, like people are still screaming at each other, trying to get seen, which I completely understand, because I would hate it to be sitting there for two plus hours, because I sat there for 2 hours and I left to go to a panel and come back. So to sit there for even more time and then just not get seen at all, I would be mad too. So I get why they were mad, but it was just like super crazy to see, because I'm a very timid person. Like I'm not that type of person who's gonna get in there. I probably need to develop that kind of skill, I guess, based on what I saw. But eventually, like, they were basically wrapping up the whole thing. They were on their last people. Obviously, people were over there, like, so mad. But I did go up to the lady who had told me before that I would be guaranteed to be seen. And she was like, oh yeah, I am so sorry. I did promise you that you were going to get seen. So she did actually ask one of the agents to stay after they were closing down to talk to me. And first of all, that was so sweet of her. I really, really appreciated that. I mean, to me, that's because I was being kind and not, like, screaming at people. But that's just my opinion on the situation. But I did get to talk to an agent, and that agent was so helpful. Obviously, like, I'm not in a place in my career yet, like, where I need an agent, but it was great to have a chance to have a conversation with them, to know what they look for in the artists that they sign and stuff, so that I can start building towards those things. It was a super great and useful and informative conversation, and I made another great contact. So overall, I had a super great experience. I am so thankful that I was able to go. I wouldn't have been able to go without Ontario Creates. And Ontario Creates is basically a part of the Ministry of Tourism and Culture, and they are like basically the governing body of all of like the creative cluster here in Ontario. So it was really, really awesome for them to give me this opportunity. I'm so appreciative. And I think that the fact that they do allow, like, they pick out artists that they think have potential and allow them to go to these things is just a wonderful gift. So I do truly, from the bottom of my heart, want to say thank you to Ontario Creates. And overall, I really enjoyed my conference experience, and I'm looking forward to going to many more conferences. I'm going to try and start going to more and more because based on my experience, it was so helpful, so informative, and I got to meet a lot of great people that I think are really going to help start to build my career. So I'm thinking of when I go to more of these conferences to actually start vlogging them. So let me know if that's something that you guys are interested in seeing so that I can start doing that. Otherwise, thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. Bye.